we're excited about this opportunity to kind of quickly dovetail from kind of this conversation about the dam problem. Thank you for putting up all the animal analogies. And really move directly to hear from the voices of expert builders here in Nashville. One of the things I think would be valuable also is to kind of run through that list to ask these folks in real time, right, what really is valuable to them. So these three builders have been working with Walker Lumber for a while and really made the agreement. Obviously, you guys are all successful and busy, and you got running operations right now. So I really appreciate you guys taking your time to be here with us to kind of share your insights. So first off, we got Mr. Hugh Nelson. By the way, I forgot to tell you guys. Remember when I said there's no gotcha questions? We had that pre-call. I did say that. You remembered it? Okay, I lied. I'm going to throw something at you. Just roll with it. You'll figure it out. So Mr. Hugh Nelson, founder and owner of Kingdom Builders. He grew up working alongside his father in the business. Built his company on craftsmanship, integrity, and service. His homes are known for quality. He's built his reputation on faith and relationships. Hugh, are you ready for your pop quiz?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, all right. Favorite movie, all time, number one, and why?
Gosh, I'm not a huge movie watcher, but I quote Napoleon Dynamite a lot with my wife, and it drives her crazy. So I think that may be why I like it, because she hates it.
There's so much to unpack there.
So much there.
I'm thrilled.
So much,
I asked
so much
the question.
therapy that needs to be done there. I get it.
This is why we do this.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Don't watch a whole lot of movies. Napoleon Dynamite.
I know how to pick them, though,
okay.
right? Yeah.
You probably watch more movies than you give yourself credit for. Mr. Joey Donnelly of Donnelly, Timmons and Associates, born and raised here in Nashville. You co-founded a company with childhood friend.
Dustin Timmons, yes.
Correct. You guys still friends?
Very much so.
Okay, well that's good. All right, good for you guys. Let's see, started back in 2001, built a reputation for custom homes that match the creativity and growth of the city itself. Joey, let me ask you, first music album, purchased or received?
Well, I don't know if you're going to like this one or not, but
I like it already.
man. So this was in the middle of their late 80s, and it would have been Eazy-E, the rapper.
Wow.
This is what I'm talking about.
That's good.
Parents approve of that?
I thought you were
No,
going to
they
say
didn't.
like, I don't know, Travis Tritt? Is that a
Yeah.
Eazy-E. DJ, you got any Eazy-E back there? Just get it, just fine. You get it?
I don't know if you want to play any of Eazy-E's.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
the edited version.
All right, so far so good. Mr. Paul Hammond, appreciate you making time. Co-founder of Hammond and Brandt Builders, a true Nashville native. Grew up around real estate and construction. You studied at Lipscomb, whose mascot is?
Bison.
Bison.
Not bisons, evidently bison, whether it's, the plural of bison is bison. So that's a big debate. Is should they be the bisons or bison?
I can,
Waste of time.
understandable.
Yeah.
This is really on theme for everything we're doing here with all these damn animals. That's great. You've been shaping South Nashville homes and communities for over 2 decades. So let me ask you, since you're going last, what is something maybe early on in your career as a builder you believed that maybe you're not quite so sure is true anymore? Anything come to mind there? Something about your perception of the industry that's maybe changed.
And they got movies.
The toughest one of
They got movies and album, and then I get that one.
We expect more from you.
I think one of the challenges, just in our specific niche, I guess I would say, is customer expectations. I call it fussiness. Just the level of expectation continues to increase. And at some point you thought that would tail off, and that has never tailed off, and it seems to just continue to get higher and higher.
Okay.
I think a challenge in the custom building world is just meeting client expectations and with the limited resources that we have in our trade force.
Okay, great. So maybe let's just start off here. Maybe Hugh, I'll come back to you and start. Talk to me, what are the things Walker Lumber has done that has made you not even remotely interested or curious what Home Depot's doing with the most recent run at serving the pro builder and doing that? What do they do in terms of if somebody wrote something down that list and you're like, will builders pay for this? And you say, I actually do. I pay for it now. I've been paying for it for 25 years. I will pay extra for this sort of behavior from our suppliers. What might that look like?
Well, I could talk for an hour about Walker Lumber Company. I know you guys had the opportunity, I believe, a couple of days ago to go tour, so you're probably getting a little glimpse of what they do over there and why they do it so well. But service and attention, I'm willing to pay for that. My client's willing to pay for that, and Walker does a wonderful job of giving me the attention, the responsiveness that I want and that I need, and that's probably the first thing that pops in my mind.
Okay. If I can, I want to dig a little bit deeper on that. Expectations and responsiveness mean different things to different people. What does that look like? I don't know, any recent example? What does that look like for you guys at Kingdom Builders when we talk about speed of responsiveness and helping you kind of, when things unexpectedly pop up as they do? I don't know, maybe give us the audience just a little bit deeper of a perspective on that.
Well, the most simple answer is my sales rep answers the phone when I call. 99.9% of the time. And that's not always easy to do. I realize that. It's hard for me to always answer the phone, but they do. And if they don't, I get a call back quickly. And if I need something in the field, Ray and that team there, they're going to make sure it happens. One way or the other, they're going to make sure that I get served and I'm able to serve my client. Makes me look good, makes them look good. And it's one of my talking points with clients of why I don't go shop lumber prices. Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of end of story there, and it's easy to explain to a client.
Good. Joey, Paul, anything come up that maybe would be a recent example or a story that you can think of where you're saying, let me tell you what this actually looks like. There was something that came up, here's what happened, and here's the way they responded in a way that you said, that's what I'm talking about. That's what's worth paying more for. Anything come to mind?
It wouldn't be very recent, but approximately 22 years ago, this would have been like 2003. I had a client that was trying to, build more than they could afford, but they really wanted to get the build done as much as possible. And whether they're setting up milk crates and folding chairs in their living room, at least they would have the roof. And so they were trying to save where they could. And so we were working with Walker Lumber at the time, but the sheet goods, let's say OSB and things like that, were perhaps $5 a sheet, $4 a sheet more than like a box store like Home Depot. So the owner wanted to get all of the framing, the stick lumber from Walker, but yet get the sheet goods from Home Depot or Lowe's, whoever it was that we ordered it from at the time. And this was a huge learning experience for me as well. And so we went through this exercise. And so we got everything framed with the stick goods from Walker, on time. And then it came time for Home Depot or Lowe's, like I said, to deliver the sheet goods. And they came, but it was 7 hours later than they said they were going to deliver it. So as you all know, in our industry, labor is super important. And it's very expensive. And so when you've got a framing crew of whether it's 6 guys or 10 guys that are sitting there twiddling their thumbs, when an owner shows up and sees that, or they're sitting under a shade tree or talking on their phone or whatever the case is, that's an expensive phone conversation. And so we had to explain, okay, well, do we want them to leave and not charge you for the day and come back whenever they're able to come back, or do we want them to wait? So they ended up waiting and the lumber gets there. And then at the same time, the lumber gets there and, whether it was the forklift or whatever damaged, 10 or 12 sheets. And so to get those 10 or 12 sheets delivered again from Home Depot took an additional 2 days. And so the crew had to leave. It took 2 or 3 days after the delivery to come back. And so we lost essentially a week's worth of time by trying to save $1,400 in sheet goods. And so from that point on, I've never shopped it around. I'm just like the time, the little more money for a better product, A-grade lumber, a little bit more money for that service and that better lumber it pays dividends, and it in the long haul is much cheaper on the client. And it's hard for them to see on the front end, but it's the reality of it.
That's great. Paul, any story or anecdote you'd share?
Yeah, we had a recent one where One of our Nashville is unique in that there's multiple different codes, jurisdictions, all within Davidson County and then in neighboring counties. So at any given point, we may be interacting with 4 to 7 different municipalities or jurisdictions, and they all have different permitting requirements and things needed. And one of these now requires your full structural design package to be submitted in as part of your building permit. Well, the architects on this specific project didn't include a package that typically is going to come through Walker. They're going to design the whole package for us. Well, a lot of times they've got a backlog of weeks of kind of getting in the queue to work through their design, and this was a kind of a surprise. And these guys may not want to hear it because it may mean that one of their jobs got bumped, but they were able to help that turn that around to me pretty quickly, and I appreciated that. That until we get a building permit and can get rolling on the job site, nothing's happening much. And so back to the whole customer service piece, just where they're able to find ways to help us move. That was kind of a real world example where they kind of bent over backwards and jumped through some hoops to help us on one specific project. I appreciated that level of service from them.
That's great. So maybe there might be some folks in the audience who might be saying, you guys seem wonderful. All of you. Literally each and every one of you 3. Back where I come from, my market's different. My builders are different. I get it. These guys don't seem like they're beating anybody up on price. They're not shopping price. Where I come from, price is the most important thing. Maybe just give a little context, Hugh, and then go to Paul. Like, how might you, tell folks that price is always important. It's always relevant. You got to be in the ballpark. But how can these folks in the audience here and the salespeople that work for them demonstrate there's a lot more, both in direct and indirect costs, that's beyond price, that they can deliver value if maybe they do things just a little bit differently?
Yeah. I know it's tough. You guys all work in different markets, different parts of the country, and we're, I think, speaking for these guys as well, we're fortunate to work with some high worth individuals, and oftentimes price is for us not a huge factor. However, I'm in sales, and I have to sell myself to my clients, and I have to do things to make them feel like they're getting the value. And I think it's the same for you guys. We're all selling something, and selling attention and selling myself and just dedicating the time necessary to respond to my clients. And I'm sure you guys are in the same situation as you're out trying to sell material. And I think that we've all just got to be very careful and very intentional about how we use our time. I heard Bradley talking about the telephone. That's a big thing for us, is to put that thing aside and not let that rule our day, and to really focus on dedicating the time that we need to our clients. And I'm sure that as you guys are going out and trying to make your sales, you're selling your time and your attention. And I can just speak from the builder's perspective. That's just hugely important to us.
Paul, comes to mind.
I think it's a lot of what Joey said. There's so much for us. One of the things that when I'm talking to clients, I'm explaining about the pricing piece is really lost time is way more expensive than any material cost difference. Yeah. Just in efficiency on the sites. So I'd be selling, if I'm, in you guys' role, obviously you've got to be competitive. It's a commodity-based product, so there's got to be, you can't be double what everybody else in town is. But it's a fairly easy sell when you start putting numbers to inefficiencies on job sites and delivery turnaround wait times and, grade of lumber and amount of returns and some of those kind of things. For us, that's where, it's never been about price exclusively. Obviously, there's got to be competitiveness, but it's a pretty easy sell when you can start highlighting kind of I've always heard the sales technique of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And when you start explaining to your clients that, okay, these guys may be a few bucks more a sheet or whatever, but the amount of time it's saving by the logistical turnaround and the quick turnaround and prompt response that we get keeps us way more efficient on the job site, to Joey's point a few minutes ago. And it's been an easy thing for us to kind of work around and not have clients critiquing a whole lot.
So you'd be open as an owner, not someone competing with Walker Lumber, but some other supplier, if they said, hey, we've talked to people on the job, we've talked to the framer, would you be open to a 5-minute conversation where we've talked to the guys about their challenges are, we think some of this, these indirect costs, kind of the things you're not paying for, you're losing time. Would you be open, Paul, where I can run you through based on the research that we've done? I think we can serve you better. Would you be open to that sort of discussion with the sales rep?
You talking about me with a competitor to Walker here now?
No, we're not going to do that because that's not good.
No.
Some other supplier, some other product that you'd be open to. You're like, yeah, they're doing a good job, it's fine. But some other sales reps that I'd like to walk you through some basic math about how I think we can make you be more efficient and productive. Would you be open to that as a business owner?
I think you have to be. Yeah, I mean, obviously we have established relationships, and it may not be something that you're looking at changing at the time, but I think we've got a response, like you mentioned, our clients to ensure that we're bringing a competitive, batch of trade partners and vendors to our projects. And so, yeah, I think you'd obviously be willing to look at some alternatives, and if you guys are able to come up with, how that differentiates you from your competitors locally, then that's certainly be willing to listen.
Okay.
Maybe a hard sell, depending on relationship.
Sure.
Lumber would be one here that would be, we haven't entertained a different vendor in years.
Right. Joey, let me ask you, sometimes we'll have people listening to builders, and there's often this perception like, you guys got it all figured out. And it's my experience with a whole bunch of buddies who are now building their own homes, and they're dealing with all sorts of things. Maybe I'll start with you, we'll go to Hugh and come back to Paul, is we kind of talk about NFPOs. What are the biggest needs, fears, and pains? And then are there any opportunities for growth? Maybe just kind of a brief answer, whatever's top of mind, as you're thinking about your business today. Regardless, it doesn't have to be outdoors or windows or millwork. What is one of the biggest needs or fears or pains that you have in your business as you sit here today? What comes to mind?
I would say with technology and the product development, it's almost impossible for the three of us, let's say, or any other builder to be updated or know of all of the latest products that are available and out there. I mean, as I walk through the hallway outside these doors this morning, there's different products sitting out on tables that perhaps I haven't heard of or seen. I'm using this as an example, but I feel like, that being a fear, because the last thing, especially in our line of work with custom homes, is you don't want your client to come up and say, well, what about this product or this product? And you're like, I've been doing this for 25 years, I've never heard of that. Mm-hmm. And so you don't want to be put in that position if you can keep from it. So one, it's a need, but it's also a fear that you want to be updated on, here's the latest and greatest, or here's something new that you may want to consider. Here's the price point of said item. And that way that you can, and it doesn't have to be something that's long and drawn out. It's just, hey, when you're looking at your next job and you've got this type of veneer or this type of cornice or this type of interior finish, consider this product. And here's why, and it's available, and here's the price point. So that's one, a need when we're building custom homes where sky's the limit on what these people want to finish their home out. And then two, it's a fear because we want to be as updated and as knowledgeable on our products as we possibly can. And frankly, we pride ourselves, and that separates us from a track home builder where it's like, hey, here's one of 5 choices. Take your 20% of whichever one and go with it. With us, it's we can't say no, we can't do that. Okay. So finding out those products is huge.
Cool. All right, I'm going to tell you, we're going to Hugh, no repeats.
Gee.
Yeah.
Well, that was the first thing that popped into my mind. Can I talk about it just for a second, though?
Yeah.
Just for a brief second. There's no worse feeling than a client coming to us and asking me about product that I have no idea what they're talking about or I've never heard of it. And so that really was the first thing. And I'll just say this: we've tried to address that a little bit by some lunch and learns. I've been to Walker's been to our office, and they tell us about new products, and that's so comforting, and just it's great to have someone that's feeding us that information so that we're not caught cold by our clients. That's good. You may have to go to Paul, and I'll
appreciate the context.
Thinking about it a second.
Paul, anything come to mind? Biggest need, fear, pain in your organization like today?
I mean, they make it so easy. I can't say there's much pain, but I was obviously going to say the same thing. I just think product knowledge is huge. and we don't have time to be staying in I mean, that would, for me, be far and away the main service they bring to me.
I don't know if there's any loose mics out there. We'll see if anybody has questions for them. Maybe looking for a one-word answer. There's nuance to this. We're gonna ignore the nuance. I'm looking for either a yes or a no. Hugh, would you be willing to pay for takeoffs? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
You said, yeah. I feel like you got bullied into that
I
one.
mean, a little bit.
I've never
thought about it. We've never had to do that, so I've never even considered it.
Okay.
I'm sure not going to sit down and do it, so that means I got to pay somebody to do it. Yeah, I'll pay for it.
Okay.
And we've like Paul is saying, we've never had to pay for it. However, as he mentioned before, a lot of municipalities require it now. So it's a need. We have to have it. So if someone's not going to do it for us, we're going to have pay somebody, whether it's a structural engineer or another lumber yard to do it for us. You know, we've got to have it for submittals for permitting.
Is there anything non-obvious? On our pre-call, we talked about, you guys just reinforced a lot of the value suppliers bring. Picking up the phone, it's being responsive, it's delivering the right things, it's apologizing when things don't go right and reacting quickly. It's all the things that we kind of know. Is there anything maybe non-obvious that to this group, you'd say, this is something a little bit different? Maybe it's somebody at Walker, maybe it's someone from a different supplier. We're a sales rep for you. This is a little different. And not many other people do this, but it makes a big impact that maybe is a little out of the ordinary. Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've appreciated about Walker, and especially is it changed ownership years ago. We've been with them since our start, which was in 2002. We've had our same sales rep since we started. The amount of turnover within their key personnel, of course, they've grown so much over the last 7 or 8 years, 6, 7 years, whatever. I don't know everybody anymore, but I have always valued that consistency in personnel. And I mean, as business owners, that's one of the biggest challenges I know you guys have, but you know, there would be nothing worse than having to constantly have some new sales guy or some new yard manager or whatever the case may be. And so I think employee retention and that consistency of contacts has been huge for us that I've really appreciated about them. And obviously our business is our people. And so that's a hard thing to navigate, but you know, taking care of your people and keeping them in those key positions has always been important.
Yeah, like it. Joey, anything come to mind?
That's a good point about the sales rep. I too have had the same sales rep for the last 24 years. But one thing, and I'm sure a lot of you guys went through Walker Lumber's yard a day or two ago, but one thing that's been huge for our company at least is my 76-year-old father works for us. Ever since he retired, he started working with us. And so he's our glorified gopher, if you will. And he loves nothing more than to open the doors or meet the doors as they open at Walker Lumber every morning. And he picks up the things, he's got a truck that he drives, a flatbed truck, that our guys need immediately that maybe Walker couldn't get until midday, for instance. And so he just keeps them going for the morning until Walker gets the bigger deliveries out. And they've got this drive-through service now. So my father is a big talker. He loves to talk to everybody, in there, inside the building or outside. But Walker is super efficient. He drives through. He's already got the orders. He really, honestly, doesn't even have to get out of the truck. And so at 76 years old, they load him up. He puts the ratchet strap down and he's on his way. And it's huge, whether you're 76 or whether you're 20 years old, because the last thing you would want, again, as efficiency is someone picking their own lumber, or the yard guys out there on said break, and it takes 10 minutes for them to get off of break, and you're just burning that time waiting for somebody to load you up. So that drive-through experience has been a game changer, I know, for us and my father.
Awesome. You?
We were doing business with Walker before Ray bought it, my dad and I, years and years ago, and they used to be they sold bird seed to old women on Saturday mornings. It was a hardware store. And one thing I think that is attributed to Ray's success and Walker's success is I remember him calling and meeting with me and other builders and asking us, what do you need? What's your problems? What can we do to serve you? And was willing to change and was willing to make huge changes in that company to service who his client was. And I think just being a visionary, think outside the box. This drive-through thing, you think about it and you're like, well, gee whiz, that's a great idea, not that complicated, but it took somebody thinking of like, hey, that's a little bit unique. Let's do it. And I'm sure that came from comments from builders that we want to be able to ride through and spend 5 minutes instead of, an hour and a half picking up 22 by 4s. So just be open to change.
Wonderful. Any questions from the audience here? Jump in, ask a question. Andy, go ahead.
So you guys both mentioned that you had the same sales rep for like 20 plus years, right? So let's just ad lib here a minute. Ray comes to you tomorrow and says, hey, we got the bad news that guy's going to retire 2 months from now. How would you expect him to introduce to you the new sales rep that's going to take his place?
Well, I mean, sales is relationship. And so, whether that's go sitting down at the showroom together and talking through it and Ray brokering that introduction and just getting to know them. And, I would look at that as I'd want to take them to some of our job sites. I'd want them to understand certain standards that we have. There's certain things that we don't have to talk about anymore because they know we're going to want Advantex subflooring and whatever the kind of specifications that we always want to build with. So there would definitely be a big onboarding that we would want to make sure to try to minimize any of those little hiccups along the way. But I think it's a relationship thing. I think making that introduction and just having time together to kind of get up to speed with what we do and the specifics of our little niche that we serve, and and then you just got to start going through the fire together, and there's no real glamorous way to do that other than just dig in and go.
You mentioned a key word there, 2 months. He's leaving in 2 months. So to springboard off of what Paul was just saying, in those 2 months, I would expect for that existing sales rep that's been with you for so long to have that guy shadow him for those next 2 months. And very similar, go to the job sites. At our company, we have our own in-house framers. So there are guys that have been with us for a very long time. And so a lot of times, it's not necessarily me calling my sales rep. It would be my lead framer, my superintendent of the framing crew, calling, saying we need X, Y, and Z. And so also not only meeting us as the business owners, but also meeting the guys that are putting this product up and understanding, hey, they want the zip system, they want the Tech Shield, and they want Advantex flooring. So all of those little things to understand when this guy calls, this is probably what he's going to be needing or expecting. And so I think 2 months, again, being a key word there, because that's adequate time to kind of get, not total, but to get to know that person that you're supplying pretty well.
Any other questions? Yeah, right here.
Are you buying anything online that goes into the home from a non-traditional channel like us? And what would drive you to do that? What was the need why was it better to buy it online if you did?
I'm dealing with that right now, and I hate it. I have a client wanting, referred to it as hog panel, little wiring around a deck. And this is a long story. I won't go into all the reasons why, but the only product that Walker offers that is through the Trex line of products, and the specific client was not wanting that, and so I'm having to do that exact thing and try to find a source for welded wire hog panel that'll work around the deck. So I say that is I can't stand having to do that, and I don't want to have anything to do with that, and it's not something that we actively pursue and the only reason I would do it is when it just happens to be something that I can't get through them. Obviously, that's the only thing that would drive me to do something, have to go online for something.
Just curious on that. If you're doing research, would you be leveraging artificial intelligence at all for that, or is it Google, or how would you go about doing that?
I mean, it's just Google. I don't know how to use artificial intelligence a whole lot yet, so it's still new to me. I'm kind of an older guy now, but yeah, I just Googled hog panel, and yeah, it's
Google hog panel. Rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, any context for you guys for the question from Patrick?
I hate to hear from a client, I saw this online, because I'm like, oh no. But that's the world we live in. But I agree. We'll try to get anything locally that we can and whatnot. But we are using chat a lot more just to educate ourselves.
Okay.
Just that reality is it's here.
Sorry, just back on this. In a perfect world, who would you delegate that to? You don't want to do
A
it.
specific product?
Yeah, a hog panel thing.
Well, in my role within my business, I don't want to task my superintendents on my job sites with those kind of things,
Right.
because it takes away what they really need to be doing.
Sure.
And that's just kind of, it falls to me at the moment, without a whole separate research or construction manager type person. I'm pretty hands-on involved in that
Okay.
stuff. So,
If there was a sales rep,
yeah,
would
but
say
also, like, I don't think I can go to Walker and say, hey, man, I don't want the one you offer, but can you find me something else that's, this client wants something different.
why not? I don't work for Walker.
Well, I
I'm
think
just
it's,
curious.
to me, if it's something that would make sense for them to start stocking and carrying, okay, maybe that's it. I think this is such a unique little different thing, I would never put that on them to try to seek that out. If it's something, or an alternative line of synthetic decking, or whatever the case may be, that it's something
Okay.
that maybe they, that we're using frequently, or we would love to see them start carrying, then I would certainly push that more with them. But in this specific instance, I didn't
Okay.
feel like it was and it's just a small little order piece, so.
Yeah, we were just thinking about this list we're putting together.
Sure.
Where do salespeople invest their time, and how do we remove needs, fears, and pains?
Yeah.
Someone says, "Hey, I knew about this. Why don't I take it? I'll do the research. I'll come back with 3 different. We're never going to stock this thing, but let me take that off your plate." That sounds like something that would fall in the category of
Good.
will builders pay for it?
Yeah, I'm not saying I wouldn't have taken the advantage of it if he had offered that.
Right.
Too. So,
Okay.
Yeah, good thought.
Go over here and then go, Jeff.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you guys, so maybe think of maybe when you first got started and maybe you were really, all about building and maybe not the sales part of it. And so we run into sometimes where I preach to my guys, do the easy things, follow up. And, we do they follow up with people and, they follow, hey, how do we fare on this project? And the customer's like, well, I'm waiting for my customer to get back to me. It's like, at what point do you feel like if someone came to you like, hey, would you be interested in taking some, like a lunch and learn on sales, like following up and doing that stuff? What would you guys say to that, like in your younger years, or maybe even now if someone approached you and said, hey, would you be interested in learning more about sales, like what we're doing here today?
So to clarify the question, would kind of fundamental sales principles from the builder perspective, would they be open to learning more about that too?
Correct. Just to
Speed,
help benefit
communication with their customers?
just to help benefit their business.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say yes. I mean, it's obviously it's a relationship business, and I said something about the lunch and learns earlier. We do that a lot. We do that with all of our vendors, and have them up, and it's a conversation. It's not me saying, here's what I want you to do. We're really there listening. Our team, our project managers, tell us what we can do better. Tell us what we need to hear. So very much a two-way conversation. I don't know if that helps or answers your question. That's what we do.
I would say timing is everything on that. Since it is such a relational business, and that guy, your young sales guys, they may be hitting somebody up they may have to hit them up for months or longer, years, before the timing's right for them to all of a sudden the door's open a little bit, whether that's a breakdown with a current vendor or whatnot. So it's almost like, it's just some of the sales stuff about persistent and, staying on it. And I guess my advice would be keep it short and brief and keep it, simple. Don't try to go ask for, 2 hours of time to tour the facility. Hey, just a ping, check in with you, and then you never know at what point that door is going to open. But that's one of the hardest things to do, is just kind of the cold call type concept of taking that time. But it's like all of a sudden when the door's open, you're like, okay, well, this is a timely, that you're hitting it just the right time. Yeah, let's get together and let me hear what you got. So.
Jeff tweet, and then we'll see if we got to go Jeff and then back over to the right.
It sounds like you guys have a real partnership with Walker, and one of the leading companies in our industry. Every year they have a review process with the contractors where they'll sit down and kind of talk about what you're doing that is causing heartbreak for Walker and what Walker's doing that's causing heartbreak for you. And several years ago, John Vaughn with Brand Vaughn talked about I wish, I wonder. And we adopted that now. At the end of the year, we'll go to our vendors and say, what do you like about working with us? What do you wish was different? What do you wonder we could do if time and money wasn't an issue? The other thing that I would wonder about is if you've had a rep for 24 years, does he own that business or does Walker own that business? How deep is the relationship, with you and Walker Lumber? Is it inside sales has just as much of a relationship as your outside guy? Or if that guy leaves, I think there's a lot of salespeople that think I own that business, and if I go, I take it with me.
I said I wouldn't throw any gotcha questions. I cannot account for the rest of the audience here.
Sorry.
I'll let you guys handle that as diplomatically as you can.
Well, I love Chris, but should he leave, my business is with Walker, unless there was some reason that the next guy is a disaster. There would have to be a lot of breakdowns. When you've been with somebody as long as we have and been through the battles of starting a business and them saddling up beside you, because we consider it very much like a partnership. So that's the relationship, would be my answer to that second part of it.
Yeah, no, I would second that. And if Chris, who is also our sales rep, left, my loyalty is still going to be with Walker Lumber. One, because I have faith in Ray and Scott and the ownership of Walker Lumber, that they're going to give us somebody that's pretty reputable and knows what they're doing. Or if not, I'm not going to spend a lot of time, trying to educate or, see if this guy's going to work out. I'm simply going to go to the ownership of Walker and say, hey, this guy really just isn't working out. Is there somebody else you can steer our direction so that we can keep this trucking along? And I have full faith and confidence that would happen. And so I'm not going to follow the sales rep. I'm at Walker because of the service that Walker is providing. And the sales rep is part of that service. It's just a piece of it. It's not the entire product. So it's not only the service of that, it's the service of the deliveries. It's the product and the quality of the product that they're selling. So it's a whole, piece of the puzzle, and the salesperson is just a piece of that.
Yeah, I would agree. And actually, this happened to us. Our sales rep at Walker for the past 15 plus years has retired or semi-retired, and we've transitioned, and they've done a great job. Just to believe it was your question about making sure that we had that introduction, that relationship being built over time before we made that switch. But definitely, my commitment is still with Walker Lumber Company.
Quick little anecdote here. Oftentimes when we are working with salespeople, to have them carve out more time to intentionally prospect for new business, what we hear often is, if you want me to go prospect, I might just be dropping the ball and I'm going to lose focus and we're going to lose these customers that we've had for a long time. And it's an argument to maintaining the status quo. I think we just heard is there are significant switching costs, and this happened often is just, hey, if this guy doesn't work out, I'm going to call and we're going to work. Fair to say the switching costs for you guys to, even if there's a switch in sales rep, would be significant for your organization given what a key role Walker as an entire company plays. Is that fair?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I had a question in the back.
Yeah, do you guys use any technology to manage your businesses better? And second question, are there any technologies that Walker could implement to make your lives easier, whether it's paying online, getting notified about deliveries, any of that sort?
Yeah, probably a lot of obvious answers we're all thinking. One of the things that Walker started doing is we get a text message when our delivery leaves the yard. Usually get a call, really always get a call from the driver after that text message goes out. That's worth a lot to us, for our project managers to know that the material's on the way, get a phone call from the driver. Those are game changers for us, and that's not expensive technology, obviously. But it's huge, very valuable.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. We get the same text messages and phone calls, but you asked about our company in general, and we do use a product called Builder Trend, and it's an app-based or computer desktop-based technology that we invested in a few years ago that allows our clients to log on and they can see everything from products that are delivered to their job site, the full schedule, what's going to be done this week, what their entire budget is. Their invoicing goes through that. It's a click and pay system. So it's really streamlined our business as far as being more efficient through technology. Instead of going around, and physically picking up checks for invoices each and every week, it's now a simple click and pay. And that freed up an entire day or day and a half for us. And so the Builder Trend has been a huge part of technology that we use. But similarly, like Hugh was saying, the text messages and phone calls on deliveries and where do you want us to drop this? Where can we put it? How do we access? What's the gate code? Those things are really time savers.
I don't have much to add. Yeah.
Okay.
We're a bunch of dudes at 50 plus years old, but our technology probably is lacking. We're figuring out how to use Google stuff. So we need to probably come along a little more with that. But we haven't made the jump to Builder Trend, but we've talked about it many times off and on over the years. So I think we need to step into some of those efficiencies a little more. But sometimes it's when it's not broke, don't fix it, or when it's not. Is that what you say? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, Tom.
There's so much
Here, wait for the mic real quick. Thank you.
so much technology more coming. What are those pieces that you do not want to trade off the personal aspect of, where I need my person from my provider here for these things, and I don't want to give that up.
Yeah.
We make assumptions that they're going to love this.
Yeah.
We won't need to send the rep out there for this anymore. What do you value most that you do not want to give up to technology?
Being able to sit down face to face with somebody. I mean, I know the design softwares, and I'm sure you guys deal with that, whether it's through Boise or Lumberman's or whoever's got your stuff and designs the systems. But these projects we're building, at least, they're so complicated, and these guys are the same way. You got to be able to sit down and go through some of these details. So I would say I don't ever see a world where we're real interested in it just all turning into these email or cloud-based sharing exchanges. You got to have that face-to-face interaction, because it's just there's too many things that'll get missed and overlooked. So for us, that personal piece is still critical, and I mean, it's what we've done for so many years. It's hard to just ever give that up. I mean, that would be my short answer on getting technology taking over too much of that personal interaction.
Yeah, the personal interaction, especially on certain products, and I'll use this one example. I had a client several years ago use a composite decking, AZEK, I believe it was, that we put down on this, because they did not want any maintenance on this deck when we were finished with it. And it was an older couple, maybe they were in their mid-60s, I'm gonna say, maybe late 60s. And so we educated them about all the different products that were available, and after everything was installed, loved it. We get our first rain event, and she calls literally hour and a half later and says, the water is beaded up on my deck, and I'm out here having to squeegee this deck. And it's like, well, you can have lumber, wood, that soaks up the water, and it'll start cracking and peeling in 6 months or 8 months, or you can have composite and it's gonna beat up. So you can read so much, and the websites and the technology is gonna educate them onto all of the cons, or all of the pros on said product. But the experience and also the face-to-face, like Paul is saying, to be able to say, look, these are the pros, but there are these 2 or 3 cons that it may not sway your decision, but here's the experience that we've had over all of these years with this product. So you make your own educated decision, said client. So that face-to-face, you're not gonna get those types of cons on the product's website.
Yeah, I'll just add, we walk that line of technology and implementing new things, but I've always got to remind myself, this is a relationship business. This is a face-to-face. This is a trust business. And there's no way to achieve that with all the apps in the world.
Tom? Yeah, let's go, Brandon, we'll go one more after that, back there.
Joey, you mentioned that you'd be willing to pay more for higher quality lumber to avoid delays. I'm curious to know what percent would you be willing to pay to avoid these expensive delays?
He's gonna close you right now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's a great question. Some of our lumber packages, for a particular home can be $300,000 for a lumber package for a home, $200,000, $250,000. So I would say up to 3%, to 5%, something like that. And I'll tell you why. It's more than just the lumber package itself. It's kind of like, I always equate our building and principles to vehicles. You can have a Mazda or you can have a Mercedes-Benz. And you can take the exact same floor plan and make a Mazda, or you can make it a Mercedes-Benz. Well, if you go with an inferior lumber product, it's like having a Mercedes-Benz with a Mazda engine in it. And so what goes on and what the three of us have to see is it's so far beyond, we're looking 5 red lights down the road here. It's not just the lumber. It's what is this lumber gonna do when we add the drywall and we add the trim and the paint and the flooring and everything else? We're the ones that face those callbacks 8 months, 9 months down the road when the lumber twists and the nails pop out of the drywall. We're the ones having to fix that. So it's worth us to pay a little more up front to get a better grade of lumber to limit those callbacks 9 months to a year down the road after the product and the owners have moved in. And so it's beyond just the extra money up front. It's looking way down because it's a lot less callbacks for us down the road for warranty work or whatever. Again, I don't want to put the Mazda engine in the Mercedes-Benz.
Thank you.
Yep.
With regard to lumber pricing and volatility, how do you handle that in your business strategies? How far out are your customers requesting you to quote them and hold prices? And then when COVID happens and prices shoot up, what are you doing? And when prices drop, and of course the homeowner comes in because they're really smart on markets and they go, hey, lumber prices have fallen. Can we reprice this?
COVID obviously was such a variable, and we had clients that backed off of projects during that time just because of the volatility and the increase in the markets and whatnot. But I think the best way I can answer your question is we just we communicate with our clients and hey, this is just pricing, and I believe Walker, maybe your 30 days if you call for delivery within a 30-day period or something, that's your pricing. And I think that's about the best answer I can give you on that.
That still comes up a few times. COVID's getting out of our memory, that run up in lumber pricing, but especially the first few years after that happened, that was a big fear with a lot of clients. I explained to them that it's a point of sale purchase and there's it's a commodity-based product. It's going to go up and down, and I kind of sounds somewhat short to say, but I tell them, if that's a driving factor into whether you can afford to do this project or not, then you probably shouldn't do it. The reality is, we're fortunate enough, along with these guys, to be in a clientele where they don't have to watch every dollar quite as tight, and that's not going to be the same in every market that you guys represent through here. Some of them are going to be much more price-based. We're fortunate enough that most of our clients can navigate that. I had a couple new builds underway, and literally we were getting the lumber package at the run up of the peak. I mean, couldn't have been worse timing for them, but we're under a cost plus a fee model, and so they just had, one of them was about 80 grand that it shot up on them. And it's unfortunate, but at the same time, you got Nashville real estate prices skyrocketing more than that. So it's all worked out at the end of the day. But I think to Hugh's point, it starts with effective communication on the front end, and us as builders, that's our role to set our clients' expectations correctly. And so we always do that. But I've had people ask, well, can you go ahead and buy the lumber package? I'm like, you don't want your lumber package sitting on the job site for 3 months, until we get the permit and the footings and the foundation all done, So you just have to set those expectations correctly. And I would tell you that I think that's a challenge with the builders that you guys may work with in your specific market. that stay in that communication with them to let them know what you're seeing. If you're seeing a trend where this is going to run up or come down, I think it's just a good way to stay in touch with your customer base and keep them posted. But it's really a lot of that's on our end in communications with our clients, who are ultimately the ones paying for the product that's coming from you.
Anything to add, Joey?
No, I mean, I would just, the same thing. I make sure we communicate as far as it is a commodity. And so when the lumber prices go down, they see the discount. When they go up, they have to, carry that load. We as builders do not, I think the three of us are all the same. We don't carry that burden. And so the lumber is what it is. If we purchase it within the next 30 days, here's going to be your price. If it changes after that, then it's either going to save you money or it's going to cost you money. But we can't predict that. And so it's a total commodity that they're purchasing there, depending on when they want to start.
Would you prefer, you talked about, do you want me to buy the housing package and have it sit on the job site? What if you bought the housing package and it just delivered 6 months in the future? Would that be a benefit for you guys? Is that something you could sell to your customers?
I suppose it could, especially if it felt like we're in a lower price point than we may be in 6 months. Now, the reality is with, our clients, I mean, I had this with Cedar Shake lately, or earlier this year when they were talking about all the tariffs from Canada. I had a client that's got about a $300,000 Cedar Shake roof package. And we were debating, okay, do we go ahead and buy these containers of Cedar Shake from Canada and get them down here and have to sit on the job site for a year at that point before we're ready for them? And he decided, I don't want to take money out of my investment accounts to go ahead and front all that. So I think that's going to be a customer-specific product. I don't think our specific market, that would be something that would be utilized very often. And thinking about you guys having to stockpile that, protect it, and take care of it. But I suppose in certain markets it could be, or certain clients. But that would be my opinion on it.
Turning the table on that, you would also have to consider if you're doing something future like that, hey, we're going to buy it now and deliver it in 3 months or 6 months. Well, as we've probably all experienced, what happens if that person loses his job and they don't decide to do that project? Are you going to refund that $200,000 lumber package? Or what happens if, whatever, anything could happen. They get sick and they can't build that product, that home or whatever the lumber's being used for. So you would also have to consider, what's going to be the dynamics of that? How far are you willing to give them their money back if the lumber is never delivered to their job? So that would also be something to consider as well.
Cool. Last question.
Yes. How do you train your employees to understand that they represent the company and are in a sense salespeople?
That's a great question. We just try to tell all of our guys that they represent our company, and it takes 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years to build a good reputation and a good model and something that somebody can trust in your community. But in this day and age with technology and social media, it only takes 5 minutes to ruin it. And so every time they step on our job, they need to be representable. They need to be looking decent, speaking, nicely to one another and the clients, and keeping the place clean as much as possible. So that's kind of something that we instill in them from the very first day. And then us as the owners of the companies, every time we show up, if we see something out of place, it's just reminding them. So it's kind of an ongoing continued education, if you will, because as you know, employees get complacent. And so all of a sudden I don't know, whether it's they have a bad habit of leaving their Coke cans or their drinks bottles or not picking them up and throwing them in the dumpster or whatever, but it's a continued education, but something that happens from the very beginning of them being hired is they represent our company, and it's taken a long time to build this reputation, and we expect them to uphold that, or they're not going to be with us for very long.
Hugh?
We're a faith-based company, and so we take that very seriously. And we dedicate a lot of time and a lot of energy to creating a culture. And we instill that in our project managers and our team. And we think it is the most important thing and how we're represented. And I think that just servant leadership and just working every day to create this culture of putting other people first and us second goes a long way.
Mr. Hugh Nelson, Joey Donnelly, Paul Hammond, appreciate your time. Thank you so much.